Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In part 2 of my exploration of the New York Auto Show, we're going to focus on the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo. And I believe this was the North American premiere for this car, and I was just excited to see it. Base information, it starts out at $96,000. The turbo version, which is on display here, can be priced out to well over $200,000 with all of the extra options and goodies. The turbo has a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8 engine with 550 horsepower and 567 foot-pounds of torque. Man, this thing is fast. With Sport Chrono package, this thing will do 0 to 60 in around 3.5 seconds. So this thing is quick. So the Sports Turismo has the same front end as the normal Panamera, but everything behind the B pillar is now different. There's now more seating. There's seating for 3 in the back seats, and of course this is a more wagon-like profile with a longer roof line. Now if I have my facts right, this new rear end adds up about 20 cubic feet of space, if I have my facts right. I have to say, I'm impressed with the car. I like this new Sport Turismo version. I also liked the normal Panamera for this year that got redesigned. It's much smoother, much better looking. I really like it. Now, it's a little controversial with some of my buddies because they don't get the Panamera. They don't think it's a pretty car, even with the refresh and the redesign. But is it a beautiful car? I don't know if I could say it's a beautiful car, but I do think the Panamera, this iteration of the Panamera, as well as the Sport Turismo version, really does look good, nice and smooth. It's a huge car. It's got tons of room inside. I have to say, the interior of this car is fantastic. Big improvement. And usually I'm not a big fan of the touch screen kind of interface with the controls. I like real buttons, so and I could see how this piano black surfaces that you touch are really going to get a lot of fingerprints, but it looks fantastic in here. I have to say, the big screen, the big monitor looks great. Just everything about it looks so quality made, quality craftsmanship to the leather. It is a very impressive interior, tons of room, very luxurious. Porsche went all out with this redesign inside, and they did an excellent job, I think. Now, what's interesting to me is, like in the United States, station wagons are not popular at all. But I think the Panamera Sport Turismo has a unique look about it that doesn't look like a traditional station wagon. It's so much more sportier and aggressive looking. So yes, it has a little bit more of a squared off rear end versus the new normal Panamera, which is much more of a 911 fastback shape. So it'll be interesting to see how the Sport Turismo performs as regarding sales in this country, knowing that wagons are not very popular. As you know, I have an Audi A4 Avant, or at least my wife does, and I'm a big believer in wagons. I think they are, for drivers, they're much more fun to drive if you get a performance-oriented version than an SUV. But that's just my own personal opinion. So for comparison's sake, here's the first generation Panamera, and I hope I'm not going to offend any current Panamera owners, but the look of it was awkward at best. And I think it's that rear area, that upturned behind the rear doors, how the shape of that window, that quarter window, turns up, and that the back end of the car at the top of the hatchback is kind of popped up a little bit. It just created for an awkward shape towards the back. And then when you look at the current Panamera, they made it more like the 911, which is more smooth, a smoother arc. And then with the Sport Turismo, there may be a bump out at the top of the trunk lid, but it's just more smooth, I think, than the previous version. And the shape of that window at the rear of the back door is a more complementary shape to the overall shape of the roof line and the silhouette of the car. It just kind of matches the silhouette of the car in a much better way than the previous generation. Also, the front end is improved as well. Again, it wasn't a bad looking front end of the old Panamera, but compared to the new one, the old one, the headlight cluster area looks a little bug-eyed. I think in the GTS versions with the smoked out front lights, that helped the look a little bit better. But when you look at the current Panamera, the light cluster in the headlight area is much more modern. They're doing that whole 4-point light cluster design, and it just looks meaner and more integrated and just better, I have to say. So I hope I'm not offending current Panamera owners, but I just think that the new Panamera is leaps and bounds an improvement over the old one as far as the design goes. So I'd like to throw it out to you guys. I'm curious of what you guys think of the look of the new Panamera in general, but now that we have a look at the new Sports Turismo, what do you think of that Sport Turismo version as well? I mean, do you like it? Do you think it's beautiful? Do you think it's attractive? Or do you think it's still a dog like the old one? Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 3 of my series on the New York Auto Show. I'm going to be taking a look at the Porsche GT3 that was shown at the show, and it was my first look at it. I'm excited about that one too. So come back, please subscribe and hit like on this video if you want to see more. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next video.